This is my third cup of tea.
All right, wonderful. Well, let's start the recording here. And
Okay.
it's wonderful that Paul Wong, who is at the School of Cybernetics and the Australian National University there in Canberra, can join us and tell us a little bit about his project in archiving. And he's graciously got up at 6 a.m. in the morning. It's 4 p.m. here on the Wednesday, the 10th of June. And for him, it's the 11th of June on Thursday morning. So thank you, Paul, for getting up and welcome. And we look forward to hearing what you are up to there.
Thank you, Peter, the man from yesterday. Myself, the man from tomorrow, is saying hello to all of you people from yesterday. Okay, let me just share my screen to start with to make sure that we got the PowerPoint up. Can everyone see my screen
Yes.
with the Cybernetic bookshelf and
Yeah.
explorations? So I'm from the School of Cybernetics, but because I live in Australia, there's a things that we do before we speak. It's called acknowledgement. So let me just start by acknowledging that I am living and working in the land of the Ngunnawal Nambi people, whose knowledge practice has been for thousands of years, if not millions, and whose lands has never been ceded and will never be. So, with that note, I'm just going to start by telling you a bit about myself. I never tell people that I'm a cybernetician. That's too presumptuous, though. I have been teaching cybernetics since 2020. I have done many different things in public service and universities, in university administrations, but returning to academia really in 2020, 2 months before COVID lockdown. And our vice chancellor told all our academic teaching staff to teach like our lives depends on it. So ever since then, I've been teaching like my life depends on it. Um, the lot that I can talk about myself, but it's not really about myself. All you need to know is that according to my elementary school teachers, I'm disobedient, impolite, hyperactive, talkative, and inattentive. So a classic ADHD. And I just find out that I'm a classic ADHD literally a month ago. So no surprise there. I'm just thinking my poor mom have to deal with me, and my poor teachers have to deal with this impolite, disobedient, hyperactive, talkative, and inattentive kids. So I hope I will delight you with my disobedience and politeness today. So let's get into it. So, what is the Cybernetic Bookshelf? It's a collection that I of ebooks that I've been collecting since 2020, and it has grown to about 700 over 700 title. Um, you know, span over 70 years of sustained intellectual work. Why did I collect these? Well, to begin with, I knew nothing about cybernetics before 2020. I was a logician, and I also spent time a little bit of time looking at complexity theory, complexity science. So, I'm close but not close enough. So, in order to get my chops up, I had to read up on it. So I start collecting these books myself. But later on, I begin to make these collections available to my student. So it became a core part of the resource for my student to do research, to go back to the original source and read about it. So I'm a firm believer to go back to the original source. Why books? Because there are just too much papers out there. Uh, is uncontrollable. So I thought book is a nice um, length to get into a substantive kind of issues for scholars, and give the scholar and the researchers time and length to develop the ideas and argue for the positions. So I like looking at books, and I encourage my students to go back to read books uh, instead of paper. So what does that look like? Let me just flick over to the front page. Can you see a different screen now called Cybernetic Bookshelf
Yeah.
where you have browse, analyze? Yeah, so this is the front door of the Cybernetic Bookshelf. Cybernetic Bookshelf is essentially a Linux box sitting underneath my desk, serving up books to my students. So if you enter into the browse, what you see is a web page that has all 733 books, and they're divided into anthologies, collected works, foundational work. Some of these are familiar to most people, and then monograph. That constitute the major uh, title within the collections. And my students have full access to the content. That is, they cannot download, but they can read online. So it's important that they have access to these resources. Don't ask me how I get these books. It is in a slightly probably questionable way in some instance. But I have also stand in front of the photocopier for long hours for some books, just literally copying page by page, turning it into a PDF. So that's what it is. You can do a search, and you can also look at the authors, the big list of author and categories, which is really kind of keywords. Uh, and the keywords just came from scraping off the various places, Amazon, Google Books, and other places online. Okay, so that's what the bookshelf looked like. Is an educational resource primarily for my students, and now it has morphed into something else. Going back to this to the slide deck, now it's becoming a kind of research project for me. I'm beginning to ask certain kind of questions that I wouldn't be able to ask by just looking at individual books. For instance, I'm interested in the topics that are being covered by 70 years of sustained scholarships. I'm interested in the temporal aspect of the change of the topics or the semantics. I'm interested in the network underpinning the scholar and their work and their ideas. I'm interested in the velocities of these concepts, how fast these concepts are growing over time. And then, of course, I'm interested in the meta questions of can I, as a human, team up with an AI to do something useful? Because it is now at a scale in which I cannot do it by myself. So 700 books takes a long time to read from cover to cover. So I've been interested in this idea. It's called distance reading. It comes out from the digital humanity folks. So the idea is that you don't necessarily have to read text line by line in the traditional way. Instead, you take a collection of printed material and you look at patterns, overall statistical patterns, word patterns, and other kind of patterns within the text, within the corpus. So that's exactly what I have done is that I partner up with an AI to do that in order to get meaning out of the collections. So, and because I'm also the sub-dean of the college, I'm very careful about academic and research integrity. So one first thing that I did is to adhere to a taxonomy that clearly articulate who has done what. And here I have just give you a table of the role, conceptualization, I'm the lead. Claude just followed pretty much my order. Domain expertise, I guess I lead that too. But in terms of software, uh, Claude is the lead, and I'm supporting it. I do a fair bit of debugging for Claude, and so on. So there's a complete kind of accountability in terms of who did what, and this is now a academic standards. So a lot of journals are now asking co-author to clearly state who has been doing what, and I'm preempting the peer reviewer from asking me what have you done versus what have Claude done. So this is a bit experiment to make sure that I'm up to the academic standard. And and this is the time frame in which the time that I started was on March 20th, and I get the to the software that I'm pretty happy, version 0.51, practically within a month. So very, very fast development. The claw was astounding in the first few days, but there's a lesson to be learned there. I'll get to it. I'll skip over this. This is the geeky nerdy bit that's really talks about the various different kind of analytical methods that I deploy, and these are very fairly standard academic sort of stuff. Doing topic modeling, doing index extractions, entity network, and summarizations. So I'll skip over these boring stuff and go through perhaps some of the more interesting aspect of it. One is to map out the intellectual history of that collection over 70 years. So this is all done with the machine. The machine kind of sniff through all the text and be able to just kind of based on the proximity, the taxonomy and the words that's co-occurring within the text come up with some topics. One cluster is history and historiographies of cybernetics, no surprise there. Formal foundation of cybernetics, no surprise there. But you also get techno-political complexes. And these are the more interesting, newer kind of cybernetic takes on the interface between different systems, the technology systems and the political economy systems, and how these things interact. So there's some interesting kind of almost socio political kind of view of technologies that spring up. They're also, of course, very biological and psychological oriented way of thinking about regulation and control. Uh, and also there's some interesting stuff coming from focusing on the person, the development of self. So quite a bit of self-help, but also some real more internal psychological self-governance kind of material in there. So I've set enough about the topics. No surprise there. Let me just fast forward to the bits that I want to show you. This is a bit that I think is kind of exciting. Because these are all books, so I begin to think through that all books have indexes, and these are gold for people who like books. Every time we look at a book, we flip to the index excitedly and just look up our favorite subject and look at the author, what they have to say about such and such. So I lean into the idea that we can harness something about the indexes of all these books over time. So I created a network based on person, concepts, organization, and locations. And I'll show you what that looks like. So this is just some of the other stuff that I've done, topic modeling, heaps of numerical stuff and natural language processing stuff. Those are boring, but this is kind of exciting. Can you see the bubble? Oh, I love bubbles. I love bubbles.
Lots of
What the?
bubbles.
Eat lots of bubble. Not only are there lots of bubble, there are four kinds of bubble: people, concept, places. organizations and places, and they are network based on the certain kind of certain way to measure the semantic distance of these words. Some of these people and concepts co-occurred in the same paragraph. Not surprised, or maybe the same sentence. Some of it co-occur in the same book. So you can count up the frequencies of these things and look over the network generated from these kind of co-occurrence of people and places and organization. And no surprise there. Let me just see if I can navigate to give you a different sense of the network. By the mouse is just acting up. Sorry. So the net it's very annoying. The mouse. Okay. I don't know why. Let me just move this. Okay, let's see if I can just stabilize the mouse. This is a non-deterministic smile, so it just kind of has its own will. I'm just trying to hover to a point where it's stable because let me just tell you what happened. When you click on the bubble, it will have all the link. The blue is a person, and the green is a concept, and the purple, I believe, is organizations, and there's one more that is
Orange.
places. Yeah. So by
Okay.
clicking onto it, I can't get the mouse. I don't know why. I think just like a window is playing tricksies on me. Yeah, my mouse is like misbehaving. Oh yeah. Let me see.
Too many bubbles.
Yeah, 2 minutes, but okay. Actually, I just luck out von Neumann. Of course, we like von Neumann, don't we? So you should see a pop up on the side, and the pop up. No surprise, these are all books about cybernetics. What do you expect? Von Neumann has strong associations with cybernetic control feedback. World War II, singularity, Macy's conference, variety, logic, and so on. So you can kind of drill down to do a little bit of discovery to find out well, how do they relate it? What are the relationship? So that's what's exciting is that I think this is another way to enable my student to do discovery of connections in the text in a way that is kind of novel because at their disposal 70 years worth of scholarships that they can explore. So now let me just go back to the my mouse is probably bugger. Sorry, the language. Stop laughing, Peter.
My father used that word quite a lot, and it's very Anglo-Saxon. Sorry.
Yeah, I know. I'm not English, but I hang out with the Aussies
Well, it's an
enough that
Australian.
it becomes
Yeah, yeah,
a
yeah.
thing.
I know it is.
Okay,
It's fine.
okay. Maybe what I should do is to escape. See if I can. Am I still showing the
Yeah, von
the
Neumann.
bubble?
Yeah, well, von Neumann on the right side.
Yeah, okay. Let me see if I can move the. Yeah, this is amazingly bad.
Well, it's because you're making a presentation. It's fine. Don't worry.
Yeah, well, never demo anything's live, right?
Right. Well, classic. But I mean, you're probably doing an awful lot there, right? I mean, this is sitting. This is sitting.
Okay.
There you go.
Back to
Back.
there you go. Okay.
All
So
right.
that's the network. Let me just scroll down a bit. Um, so what I'm trying to say is that I got excited because now I realize that not just collecting things. I'm compulsive collector, so it delight me a great deal to just collect things. But it's a delight when you can make available that collections to other people in a way that can entice them to interrogate and to open their mind. So that got me thinking is that this is actually a really useful way of thinking about the educational values of the collections. And we need to actually pay more attention to how it's being used and how we present, how we enable a user to interrogate and interact with the collections. So, and because I'm a bit of a nerd, so this is what my next step is going to be. We generate the school a lot of artifact, and so now I've been tasked to archiving some of these artifacts. These are prototype built by our students, and they take up space. Sometimes large amount of space. So my kind of way of thinking is that these artifacts may not be long lasting. They may deteriorate over time. But if I can make a digital copy of these artifacts and embed them in the physical building itself, sort of like having an augmented reality, then we have a digital version of these things that are long lasting because they're not likely to get rid of the building. And as long as these artifacts add value to the building, I think there's something to that. So this is a video that I made. So those books are book covers of within my collections. And what I've done is to use a very simple tool to create augmented reality. So the idea is that I want to embed various sort of digital objects, turning the school almost into a museum where students and visitors can come in and physically interact with these digital artifacts. So I've already done some analysis of these books, right? So it's a matter of, well, how can we serve those informations back to the audience when they interact with the artifact? So I got pretty excited about this. So this will be the next step of the project. But in order to do this, once again, I can't do it by myself, and I'm eliciting a team of AI, Claude, DeepSeek, Gemini, Copilot, two versions of different Copilot to help me. So there's a AI council, and I have just experimented with setting up a concurrent meeting with them. We had our first meeting and they get quite nasty to each other. They accuse each others of hallucinations. I just like boys, girls, quiet, quiet. Be polite. So that's where I'm at. I think I've probably talked enough. 24 past. Should I just pause and let people ask me questions? Because otherwise, I'll just keep go on and on because I got like now 48 different slides here.
Sure. Um, yeah, I mean, lots of questions, I would hope.
Yeah.
I mean, I wonder, you've made this
Oh,
presentation. You've got,
maybe this is worth
okay. Yeah, put it on full
worth
screen.
sharing.
Put it on, yeah, presenter view.
Yeah,
Good.
this one. Oh, okay. Let me. Okay. Can you see
Yep.
what worked? What
Yep.
surprises us?
Yep.
Um, So because this is an experiment in using AI, a human AI partnership, and because I also have responsibility as a sub-dean to investigate research integrity matters relating to the use of AI in homework and assessment for students. So, I thought I better get onto it and try it out myself. So what worked well? It's very fast. You can achieve a lot in a very short time. That's pretty clear in terms of what I have done in the first week. Uh, the the code quality is pretty good. It does some testings, but not enough for me. Uh, and the documentation is excellent. I gave very explicit instruction to the AI to make sure that everything that I need to document in order to pass a journal peer review test is there. So I have a GitHub that I share is online, available publicly. The code is available publicly, but not the text, not the raw data. So there a lot of good things that come out of it. But what I have to say that is a bit provocative is that it perhaps is not so provocative, and no surprise really is that the AI make simplifying assumptions. And I've been working with data for some 20, 30 years. And everyone that I know work with data knows that you cannot make simplifying assumption about data, especially if it's data collect over a long period of time. There are all kind of quirkiness in the data. So at the end of the day, the AI makes some simplifying assumptions about the data generated from its code. I still need to go in there 121 times doing manual override. So it can make mistakes based on these simplifying assumptions. So simple things like having a line break, because the optical character recognitions is a little bit fragile and can't recognize things in the way that we want to. It becomes a problem. So it generates noise for me. So um, the things that I want to say here is this. I've worked with the library, the National Library, in a previous project, looking at the futures of library, and I had a discussions with the directors of the one of sections about the merit of AI, and he was very impressed with the accuracies of some of the tools that he was using, especially in classifications, telling this is, object classification, the cat, not a cat, and he was raving about how accurate it is, 97% accuracies. And I just paused for a while and I said, okay, 97% accuracy, that's pretty good. That's really, state of the art. And then I asked the library, you must have at least a million, maybe, couple of million, 10 millions kind of artifacts sitting around. And say, oh yeah, we have more than millions artifacts, objects that need to be classified. So I just, a simple mental calculation of 90%, 97% accuracies implies that there are 3% inaccuracies or error. And 3% error means that there's 30,000 mistakes in a million entities. So I begin to ask some probing questions about the distributions of these errors. So where do you know how they're distributed? Are they randomly distributed or are they clusters around? And he could not answer that questions. So looking back at that little story, looking at the surprise and limitation is this. The AI is very good in terms of things that are done right, but it will make mistakes. And the question is, it it will always depend on what we're trying to achieve. That would determine what kind of mistakes we can bear, that we should tolerate. And further, the mistakes has its distributions. Unless we know a little bit about the distribution of mistakes, uh, uh, it could be causing harm disproportionately to certain community, minority group or indigenous community, because that's where all the mistakes are clustering. So I just want to kind of lay that out as things to talk about because I see a lot of enthusiasm of AI, and for a long time I just kind of sit back and just let that be. But um, but now that I have some work with AI and have some experience with it, I do think that I have something more to say. So with that note, I will stop sharing.